Russian President Vladimir Putin wrapping up his state visit to India with pledges to expand trade and defense ties. Now, he has offered, quote, uninterrupted fuel supplies to its long-standing ally, which is facing steep U.S. tariffs over its purchase of Russian oil. New Delhi appearing cautious of Mr. Putin's offer as it negotiates a trade deal with Washington. Prime Minister Modi saying energy security has been a strong and vital pillar of India-Russia partnership, but making no specific reference to oil. President Putin also meeting his Indian counterpart Draupadi Murmu at a ceremonial reception. Now, he said the two nations are, quote, working hand in hand to establish a just multipolar world order. Neha Poonia reports for CNA on the key takeaways from the bilateral summit in New Delhi.
This was the first time that Vladimir Putin has visited India since the war in Ukraine began, and in a lot of ways Russia's role in that conflict has cast a large shadow over the bilateral meeting with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The two leaders repeatedly emphasized the time-tested nature of bilateral ties, welcomed how much the relationship has grown in the last few years, and acknowledged that there is still immense potential for growth, particularly on the trade front. But underpinning this optimism, experts say, there were clear divergences in priorities for both sides. President Putin said he was satisfied with negotiations, but appearing alongside Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he made an unexpected announcement.
Россия является надежным поставщиком энергоресурсов и всего, что необходимо для развития энергетики. Мы готовы и далее обеспечивать бесперебойную поставку топлива для быстрорастущей индийской экономики.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi did not talk about the country's declining oil imports from Russia at all, but with US President Donald Trump slapping 50% tariffs on India and accusing New Delhi of funding Moscow's Ukraine campaign, New Delhi has in the last few months quietly reduced its imports. Government data shows that in October, New Delhi's volume of Russian oil imports fell by 31% year on year. India instead has raised the issue of Ukraine in that meeting with President Putin as the US pushes Moscow to accept a peace deal that the Trump administration is brokering.
आज हमने क्षेत्रीय और वैश्विक मुद्दों पर भी चर्चा की। यूक्रेन के संबंध में भारत ने शुरुआत से शांति का पक्ष रखा है। हम इस विषय के शांतिपूर्ण और स्थायी समाधान के लिए किए जा रहे सभी प्रयासों का स्वागत करते हैं। भारत सदैव अपना योगदान देने के लिए तैयार रहा है और आगे भी रहेगा।
Ahead of that meeting, European envoys in New Delhi had reportedly urged the Indian government to use its access and influence with Moscow to push the Russian leader to accept that peace deal. Experts in New Delhi say that by raising Ukraine twice in his meeting with President Putin, Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants to signal to the US that India recognizes that ending that war is a priority for President Trump. Both sides have also agreed to expand bilateral trade to about $100 billion in the next 5 years. That's about an increase of $30 billion US dollars. They've signed deals looking at mobility, skill building, civil nuclear energy, critical minerals, agriculture, as well as naval cooperation. There was also talk of eventually signing a free trade deal with the Eurasian Economic Union as well. But expanding trade at a time when India is reducing oil imports will require sustained effort, experts say. For CNA, I'm Neha Poonia in New Delhi.